If you're bringing only one outcome, that's where you're being pushy. But if every time you speak to the customer, every time you go back and work with them again and again and again, and you're bringing incremental outcomes. What are increments? Increments are tiny steps, right? It's beep, 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 beep. That's why in sales, man, you have steps, incremental steps to achieve a successful sales career. These are incremental steps, incremental outcomes, possibilities and availabilities that you're bringing to your customers that they're blind to. They can't see it right now. And that's why they depend on you to do so. Today, here's what I want from you in sales. I want you to be a salesperson who pushes. I didn't say I want you to be pushy. Don't be a pushy. Because a pushy salesperson is one who only has one idea, one outcome. And most of those ideas are self-serving. So think of it, for instance, as one doorway. And so when you're trying to come through one door and someone else, the customer, is holding that door shut, a pushy salesperson is one who just keeps trying to push through that one door. But a salesperson who instead pushes, well, that's totally different. Because a salesperson who pushes, not only yourself, but you push your customers. You help them discover new possibilities and ideas. Because, see, your customers, they're never going to tell you that they want you to push them. No one is ever going to. I've never had a customer in my 23 years of selling ever have a customer tell me, "Thank you for pushing me today." But I have had thousands say thank you. That's what they say. But what they mean is for hanging in there with me, for continuing to push. Your job as a salesperson is to push your customers, to challenge them, and even interrupt them. Do you know what your job as a salesperson is? And I'll wait. What's your job as a salesperson? Pause this. Well, I'm good with people and I want to help them do things. Mark Hunter writes it brilliantly. A salesperson's job is to help others see what they did not know was even possible or even available. And he goes on to write that, think about someone like Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs didn't service the flip phone market. He wasn't a service personnel. No, he disrupted the cell phone market. And dude, he brought you a phone that you didn't even know that you even needed. And let me ask you this. Are you mad at him for it? Is your life more efficient? That way now you don't have to be strapped to a desk? It's because he pushed. And he pushed so much. And he kept bringing new innovations and new ideas to the market that now you have 80-year-olds who traded in their jitterbugs and bought smartphones. And they text more than you actually do. Dude, you have to interrupt your customers. That's a must. Because what you're interrupting is old patterns, old ideas, old biases, old beliefs. And many times, dude, it's going to be superficial. Many times that you're going to find that your customers are saying, we're just sitting down, or I'm busy at work. They're just fearful because they have this initial thought that maybe you're going to be like all the other salespeople that I've encountered. Terrible. Or maybe what I really want, I don't think it can happen. It's not possible. And let me tell you something, man. If If the product sold itself, if all the possibilities and availabilities were just right there, plain as day in front of your customers, there would be no need for you. Customers depend on you to open up their ways of thinking and broaden their perspectives and see what their availabilities and possibilities are. Because, dude, they can't see them yet. So you got to help your customers. And you got to help them see incremental outcomes that they didn't know was even possible or even available. And incremental outcomes is the key word, man. It's absolutely key. Because, see, if you're bringing only one outcome, that's where you're being pushy. But if you, every time you speak to the customer, every time you go back and work with them again and again and again, and you're bringing incremental outcomes. What are increments? Increments are tiny steps, right? It's beep, 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 beep. That's why in sales, man, you have steps, incremental steps to achieve a successful sales career. These are incremental steps, incremental outcomes, possibilities, and availabilities that you're bringing to your customers that they're blind to. They can't see it right now. And that's why they depend on you to do so. And will your customers be agitated at times? Yes. Will all the color go out of their face at times? Yes. Will they get fidgety? Will their jaws lock? Will their eyes roll? Will their eyebrows raise? Yes. You're going to have those times. It's productive agitation. You got to agitate that, because what you're doing is you're pushing them beyond all of the deeply held beliefs, all of the logic, and you're developing incremental outcomes along the way. It's got to be uncomfortable at times. Selling is uncomfortable. Interrupting your customers is uncomfortable. But let me ask you this. When you played sports, did your coach make sure that you were comfortable? Did he make sure that you were sweat-free? Of course not. He pushed you and he pushed you. And even though he saw there were times that you wanted to quit, even though you were super frustrated, even when it wasn't working, he pushed you. And all of a sudden stuff clicked. All of a sudden things came together. And he made you a better athlete because he pushed. I'm going to push my customers because, like that coach, I'm going to make them a better buyer. And I'm going to make them a better buyer because what I did is I interrupted them. I pushed them. And I helped them see possibilities and availabilities that they had no idea, incrementally, that they thought was available. This is why I say in sales, dude, you got to be an options trader. And so what you got to do is when one option doesn't work, you swap the options out. Well, how about this? How about this? So customer says no. Well, I tell you what, let's adjust the terms. Boom. No, not going to do that. Tell you what, let's adjust the package. We'll put a little bit more money down. We'll adjust the terms. And that's what you're doing. See, what I'm doing is I'm giving them possibilities. I'm giving them additional availabilities. That's what I tell many times with customers. Look, I'm just trying to show you what your options are. You have options, and I'm here to help you see those options. And sometimes it's a discovery to realize, you know what? I'm not the right fit. I'm not for everyone, but I am for someone. And what I do is, and that's what you have to remind yourself in sales, is you have to, that's your primary job, is to help others see what they did not know was possible. Put that back on the screen. That's what your job is. So put that on your cork board. Put that, like on Notre Dame where they slapped a sign on the way out that says play like a champion. That's how you play like a champion in sales. A salesperson's job is to help others see what they did not know was possible. Are you helping other people see what they did not know was possible? Or are you taking the first sign of rejection and saying, they're crazy. I can't do that. Of course, that's why they need you. They need you to say, This isn't going to work, and here's why. And educate your customers. Education's the biggest thing, man. That's the advantage that you have. You got to be one of those salespeople who is where your customers say, you know what? I didn't think about that. You know what? You got a point. That's true. That's the kind of salesperson you need to be. Where even you take the most, stoic of people, or you take the guy who is just a bull who comes at you and says, look, I'm going to tell you how to sell. I'm going to tell you how this is going to go down. And you keep developing incremental outcomes because you didn't just, what he wants is not going to happen. But you stayed with him in the tension. You showed him additional possibilities, and all of a sudden he sits back and he says, I didn't think about that. I see your point. When customers tell you that, I didn't think about that. Oh, I see your point. When they tell you that, that's when you know that you're building incremental value and they are discovering incremental outcomes. See, my buyers don't buy because I was all pushy. They make a decision, a good decision, a confident decision, because I pushed them, which means that you got to interrupt. Hate to break it to you, bro, but you got to interrupt your customers. And that means that you got to interrupt them 6, 7, 8, scratch that. That means that you have to interrupt them past 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 times, as many times as it actually takes. And you think that many times it doesn't work. And so you've trained yourself to think that past 2 phone calls, it's not going to work. I mean, Marsh, I never get, because you've trained yourself to think that either I don't get them on the phone after a couple of attempts, so they must have bought elsewhere. You assume, or you've trained yourself into thinking that past 2, that the ones that you do get on the phone, that they either slam the phone down in your face or they say, nah, bro, I'm going to hold off, or I bought somewhere else. And so you say, all these leads suck. You've trained yourself. And see, what you have to understand is you're selling today, you're selling in patterns. You know those old records? So the 12-inch vinyls that you have with the records, when you first get into sales, it's as if you got a record that has not been imprinted on yet. And so this is why you see new salespeople always do well, because there's no grooves. But when you lay the tracks down on a record, then it looks smooth, but when you run your hand across it, you feel those ridges. Those are those grooves. And so what happens is when as you get into sales, 30 days into it, you've put grooves into it. 90 days, you've got more grooves. A year later, dude, you went from an album to an LP. And an LP was those little 45s, man. They only played one track. And that's what you are as a salesperson today, is your one track. Because what you're doing is, truthfully, dude, you're only selling the low-hanging fruit. That's all you're selling. You're selling the people who have already made up their mind. Or your price is so low that you're not selling anything at all. You're not selling the people that have options. You're not selling the people that say, you know what, I'm 6 months out. I don't know if I want to do business with you. I'm weighing my options. I'm not going to do this right now. Don't think for a minute. You're not going to get over on me. You're only selling people that immediately want to buy. And you've trained yourself into believing that the others won't. So you want to be a lucky salesperson? Here's how you're going to be lucky in sales. You got to become a promoter of possibilities. When people ask you, what do you do for a living? You tell them, I'm a promoter. I mean, that's what everybody in Atlanta is, right? They're all a promoter. And that's what you are. You're a promoter of possibilities. And what you're doing is you're promoting to hundreds of leads and prospects every single month. See, traditional salespeople, they hope. And they hope that this next phone call will take them out of their misery, that they can stop dialing because they got a hot lead. I got a hot lead, boss. And that way they can let up and end this misery of making the calls, of trying to find the low-hanging fruit. And that's why they get burned out. But if instead, as a salesperson, as a professional salesperson, if you think like a promoter, professional salespeople promote every phone call. That's what they're doing. They're promoting. Think about the magazines that you get. Think about your emails that you get from businesses that you've expressed interest or you've done business with. They're constantly promoting. They don't get mad because you didn't click on it. They come back with another promotion. They come back with something different. They come back with a different hook, a different limited time for members only, 25%, half off, clearance sale. They're always promoting. And that's what professional salespeople do. They're constantly promoting possibilities. So they're not looking for every customer, every phone call. They're looking for the phone call of the customer that they can take to the next level. And customers are all on different levels. You know, you have one customer that's on floor 1, and you got another customer that you've been working with that's on floor 70. And so because you're promoting, because every day, man, you're coming back at it. Every phone call, you keep coming back 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. Then every single time, you don't get burned out because all you're doing is you're promoting. And so there are some that you're going to take to the next level. And the rest you don't walk away from and solely focus on that one customer. You give that customer the right amount of time, but you also keep on promoting. And even the ones that tell you no, I'm not going to buy. It's not that you can't help them. You can help them. It's just that they don't see it yet, which means that you got to keep promoting. Remember, the greatest sale that you will ever make is to sell you on you, because you're more than enough. Never settle. Keep selling no matter what. Stay amazing. Stay in the sales life.